Welcome to today's Premier Experts, your one-stop shop to find industry experts in a variety of niches. My name is Ray Perez, and I'm a global branding expert. I travel the world speaking to entrepreneurs and business owners, and we've created this show to take advantage of their wealth of knowledge. I interview experts across different fields to learn what has made them become successful. When you interview people from a wide range of industries, those points of views brought together can create massive success for your business. Welcome back to today's Premier Experts. I'm your host, Ray Perez, and today my special guest is the Universal Mindset Disruptor, Mr. Shawn Feurer. Welcome to the show, Shawn.
Hey, Ray. Thank you for having me today. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited that you're here. I can't wait to interview you. And I always like to start the show off by asking, your expert title, the Universal Mindset Disruptor. What does that mean? How did that get started? Explain that.
Well, it's interesting, and there's a long backstory to get to the mindset work that I do. But basically, I've worked with a lot of business owners over the years, right? Spent 20 years in the home improvement industry, spent 5 years working with the national training organization, the Certified Contractors Network, and worked with a lot of process, okay? And I found that process and procedure, although very important in business, doesn't work the way we intend it to if we don't have the right mindset. And so, through a lot of trial and failure in my own business over time, working with, over 70 companies over a 5-year period all over the United States, seeing the processes worked great, but sometimes the people that we plugged into them didn't. I went down this path looking for something to go beyond that, and it ended up being our mindset, right? And so the Mindset Disruptor came about, and actually you and your team helped me draw that out. We have to disrupt our thoughts. To get different results than we've gotten in the past, we have to disrupt our thoughts. And so I like to be the person that helps do that.
Wow. And speaking of that, you've been working with one of the top leadership experts on the planet, Mr. Bob Proctor, right?
Yes.
You've worked very closely with him. You're part of his inner circle. You're one of his top consultants. Share a little bit of why you chose to work with Bob and how that makes an impact on your clients.
Okay. And again, this is one we could talk for an hour about this. Let's go back, say 2006. Bob Proctor was featured on The Secret. I don't know if you're familiar with The Secret.
Oh yeah, changed my life.
At the same time, I was reading over and over again the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. To me, that's the original personal development book, right? Everything today is kind of branched off that. So 2006, real estate boom, lots of good things happening. I was spreading the word about The Secret and Think and Grow Rich. Used it in my business, left my business, come around full circle. One of the reasons I decided to start my own consulting business was I wanted better results, better impact. And like I said, that's how we got to the mindset. And it was kind of a journey. I was literally looking for tools, searching for tools. Woke up at 2:30 a.m. And I don't know about you, Ray, but sometimes I get, stirred in the middle of the night, and I know I used to listen to a lot of Wayne Dyer, and he calls it the angel hour, right? And so I'm like, okay, I've been searching. Here's my message, and I end up on my computer, which I don't usually do. I can't even remember how I got there. Had a link, registered for a webinar of Bob Proctor's, and because he's worldwide, it was started at 3 a.m. Like, I'm up, I'm awake, I'm here. So I made a cup of coffee, and I sat and watched this webinar, and it's when he really started diving into his mindset work, this thing called the Secret Genie that gives you a visual for how your mind works. And he started talking about Think and Grow Rich too, that Bob's been studying it for 50 years, that his whole program that his consultants teach is based on that book. And so I'm just lit up. I mean, literally, I'm like, this is my favorite book of all time. This is one of my favorite, mentors and speakers that I've ever heard. And say what? He put a program together based on that. And, interestingly enough, 10 or 15 years before then, I'd reached out to the Napoleon Hill Foundation. I wanted to teach about that book. So through a bunch of synchronicities, I ended up on a phone call with one of Bob's sales team to find out how do I become a certified consultant. And
wow, that's an amazing story. And I personally know Bob. I've spoken a few stages with him, and he has mentored and shared this knowledge with so many people. And what I've discovered in my business is that most entrepreneurs are not aware of this.
No. Entrepreneurs, stay-at-home moms, children, like, we don't learn the mindset piece as we're growing up. And I think it's a critical piece of education that we're missing. Bob talks a all the time that we don't have a knowing problem, we have a doing problem, right? And we have so much knowledge, especially in today's age, so much information coming at us, but we don't implement it, we don't use it. And that's what I found in the business coaching I was doing with process. I'm like, yeah, I can give you the best sales process. I was working with one of the best sales processes, and I put 3 people into it. Process is the same, and I'd get different results. One person would do really good, one person would stay the same, and one person would actually get fired sometimes. They'd go backwards. And so, yeah.
So kind of elaborate on that. So, there's skill set and then there's mindset. So kind of share with our audience, how does having this kind of paradigm shift mindset make the even bigger difference than having the skill set?
Yeah, there's this thing in mindset and subconscious work called paradigms, okay? You familiar with the word paradigm? I mean, everybody has a different definition. For the work that I do, we call it a collection of thoughts, habits, and beliefs that reside in the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind controls about 95% of our day. Now, when I was first studying this, I had to question that. I said, no, I'm a pretty aware individual. I'm pretty conscious. I make a lot of decisions. We don't. 95% of our day is subconscious programming. And the programming comes starting at birth, the foods we eat, the language we speak, everything, right? Yep. So if I get an individual, say in their mid-30s, that I'm trying to teach something that's going to make their life better, all this programming, all these paradigms play into the way they're going to implement it.
Correct.
And so I can sit and work on the process all day long, but if I don't assist with some of the, and self-limiting beliefs, paradigms, just a few quick ones. Self-confidence, self-worth. Sometimes somebody doesn't have the confidence to do something uncomfortable to make themselves better. And so that's where we really shine the light and dive in with people. And it's so fun.
Now you have different levels of coaching, right? You have group coaching, you have private clients, you have workshops, you have live events. Kind of share a little bit about the different ways that people can work with you.
Yeah, I mean, one of my biggest focus is the product that I use from Bob, and it's called Thinking into Results. It's a group coaching program. It's interesting because I started working just with contractors because that's where my background was. As I started having impact and seeing growth, not only with my contractors in their business, but in their personal life. And we talk about this a lot, right? I'm not a business coach anymore. I'm a life coach, and we work on finances, health and wellness, and relationships. And so a lot of my
all affects you, which affects your business.
Yes, because we don't attract what we want, we attract what we are in all those areas. So as my business owners, men and women, were getting better, like, hey, I'd like to get my spouse involved. And so I went from a contractor group that was men and women to I now have a separate powerful women's group that's all women. A lot of them originally were my contractors' wives, but since then it's grown off, and we've got contractors group, we've got powerful women. I just launched my very first sales only group that's sales professionals. I mean, first month with this material, I'm just excited about this. Company broke, and this company's been in business for almost 50 years.
Wow.
Sales record, biggest sales month in history, the first month.
And
there's a lot of other factors, but it was the first month working with me. Had us rep break $2 million for the first time with the company.
Wow.
Closing ratios, we're putting together a case study on this. So yeah, and again, they have processes, but it's the mindset, it's the energy level, it's the belief that the individual has. So. Yeah.
Now, I heard you talk about something about an athletic program or group that you were talking about as well.
Yeah, well, and this is, it's funny, you put it out there. I've got, one of my business partners, Caitlin, she works with me in a lot of the coaching stuff that I'm doing, a lot of the marketing. She's got a background in athletics and coaching. She's a competitive cheer coach, a gymnast, and it's kind of this ripple effect. As I started, I mentioned like my contractors got their spouses involved. Mm-hmm. They also started impacting their children. Right? Because we learned the programming we can affect not only in ourselves, but maybe our child that's being programmed
Absolutely.
by television, social media, all kinds of things. But we've got this new vertical that's opened up for us, mostly for teenagers, but young women coaching and for young athletes, right? And as we started putting it out there, I've had people start reaching out to me, hey, Shawn, do you know anybody in this genre that could help with athletes? So yeah, that's another area that we're going right now, is to competitive athletes. And in sports, and it's funny, if you research, you know this, mm-hmm. The best athletes have a coach, a mindset coach. 100%. Process, how to swing a bat, how to do all those things, but mindset is so important. So we're taking this thinking into results and going to implement it with teens.
Yeah, I agree. I think every athlete has a coach. All the skill set coach, the mm-hmm. one that teaches them how to shoot the ball, hit the ball, whatever the case may be. But I think the winners, the elite, have a mindset coach in addition to their skill set coach?
100%. 100%. Yeah, and it's interesting because we are seeing a shift, right? More and more people are open to working with a coach. I remember when I first wanted to get started in this business, it's like, oh, what do I need a life coach for? I know how to live my life, right? And there's all kinds of different paths you can go, but that's what I've really loved about the path I've taken. And going back, when I first signed up with Bob, I loved this process because you look at Bob, he's going to be 88 years old. He's got friends all over the world. He's wealthy. He's healthy. He's still talking from stages. Yeah. So if you want to be like Bob, do what Bob does. And so they gave me the program and they said, implement it in your life first. Before you can get certified and teach this to your clients, you've got to go through the program. And this is so interesting because I'm looking for a tool for my clients and I'm thinking, well, I'm good. I'm going to teach this stuff. I'm in a good place. But I went through the program myself and it just blown away.
That's awesome.
Literally the results in my personal life, my relationships, and obviously my business too.
So tell me about the podcast.
All right, the podcast is Enjoy the Ride, and it's not a podcast, it's a movement. And so we call it Enjoy the Ride, the movement. And on this, me and my host, Ian, we get real, we get vulnerable, whatever the hell that means, and we talk about life. And Enjoy the Ride came about for me about 5 years ago. I was going through some challenging times. I went through a divorce. I'd had some real estate deals go bad. My mom had gotten early onset Alzheimer's and was, we were losing her and had a lot of bad stuff. And I just, through a lot of spiritual work and a lot of introspective work, even before I found Thinking into Results, came up with this concept of enjoy the ride is finding the positivity in every moment. And you've heard in the past, smell the roses, right?
Yep, of course.
And enjoy the ride is a reminder to do that because sometimes when we get in success, we get going so fast, we forget to stop and enjoy the ride. So that's one part of Enjoy the Ride, the movement is if you're having a good time, if you're winning, stop and enjoy it. Those moments. Like for me, all my kids are, in their 20s now. My youngest is 18. I think back to when they were born. Those moments are crystallized, right? And so we talk about Enjoy the Ride, the movement, it's focusing on that, but then it's also, when you're going through an experience like losing your mother, 63 years old, perfectly healthy, beautiful, looks like she's 45 years old and she loses her mind. That was one of the hardest, that was the hardest thing I've ever done. And I used my mindset, I used the power of positivity, not to spiritually bypass and not feel the loss and the hurt, but to say, okay, what in this moment can I choose to feel good about? And gratitude is always a good place. So I was so grateful for the situation. I was able to spend a lot of time with her, to take care of her. And that's what Enjoy the Ride is about, is okay, we might not be where we want to be. We might be experiencing some pain, some difficulty, some sorrow, right?
Yeah.
But I've learned over and over again, especially the last 5 years, things don't happen to us. They happen for us. For us, right?
And that's a mindset.
And that's a mindset, right? And if you don't think it's happening for you, just wait. Because 5 years, 15, maybe 20 years, you'll look back and say, wow. So that is Enjoy the Ride. So yeah, we've got the podcast going. We've got some amazing guests. It's business, so I bring on some business owners. We've got some, my powerful women. We've got stay-at-home moms. We've got some kids we're probably going to bring on this thing. It's really fun. And the idea with this is just to get positivity out there. We live in such a negative world, right? Yeah. The news gravitates towards it, sometimes social media. And so Enjoy the Ride, the movement for me, is a way to get this positive message out to the world.
I love that. Speaking of positive message, I heard that you have a nickname.
Okay.
And it's Warrior of the Light.
Warrior of the Light, yes.
Share a little bit about why. Why do you have that nickname?
Wow, I didn't expect to get emotional with it. That happens. Wow. So my baby sister, my little sister, Raven Fire is what she goes by. I think it's 4 years hard to pronounce, so she goes by Raven Fire. When she was a teenager, she was going through some difficulty, and I wrote a poem talking about the light and letting our light shine. And so she had always called me the Warrior of the Light. She had me entered in her phone as that. And as I started going through my difficult time and path, she just would always say, "You're the Warrior of the Light. You got to do this. You got to, you used to be that for me." And so, yeah, it's just this inner light that actually we all have, right? And the Warrior of the Light is just me giving myself permission to let it shine unconditionally. And with my work that I do, giving others the permission to do the same.
I love it. It's beautiful.
No, I actually got, about a year ago, a client that I'd worked with previously. I got on the phone with him and we were talking for 5 minutes. He goes, "Oh my God." He goes, "You have become painfully positive." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much." I worked really hard to get to that place, to be able to have somebody say those words. So, and again, that just goes back to the warrior light is, enjoy the ride is about positivity. We are love and light. And the more that we share, the more positivity, we can all become warriors in this battle for positivity.
Impact. World, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if people want to learn more of how they can work with you, whether it's your coaching programs, your workshops, or even your live events, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
So the best way to connect with me is my website, ShawnF360.com. When you go there, you can connect to all my events, all my social media, my podcasts, everything in one place. Again, it's ShawnF360.com. Go there, connect, and I can't wait to talk to you.
Excellent. Well, Shawn, thank you so much. Appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you.
Awesome. And thank you for joining us on today's Premier Experts. I'm your host, Ray Perez, reminding you to never leave for tomorrow what you can do today and always stay true to your brand. If you or anyone you know is an expert in a particular niche or industry, we would love to have a conversation about potentially being on the show. Just visit todayspremierexperts.com, click on Be a Guest, and fill out the form.